If you have ambitions for making billions, you're going to need every ounce of energy and peace that you can summon if you even have a chance of making it to the elite levels of the top 0.01% of fund managers. Pull it off and you will no longer be a fund tourist. You are now becoming a fund titan, and that's a huge difference. Today is our 200th episode. To celebrate, I want to share with you what I like to call the anatomy of peace. You see, peace and power, they're not at conflict. In fact, I would suggest that in their purest form, they work together. And today we're going to cover how to get it, where you're losing it, and if you stick into the end, I'm going to show you my guide on how to get it done. So let's dive in. So we think war leads to prosperity. We think hustle leads to legacy. And we think that if we just push harder, fight louder, and win bigger, we'll finally feel at peace. But we've got it backwards. See, peace isn't the reward. Peace is the strategy. And until you conquer the enemy within, the one who worships comfort and sabotages your calling, you're likely never going to lead like the war king you were called to be. So today, we are going to cover what I like to call the anatomy of peace and how you can use it to become an unstoppable force in your life, your leadership, and in your legacy. And I want to do that by telling you a story. The story is around Ashoka the Great. Ashoka was the empire of the Mauryan Empire around 268 BCE. He was one of the fiercest warriors in history. See, he conquered territory, he crushed his enemies, he expanded with his empire in absolute dominance, and then he fought the Kalinga War. And guess what? He won. But what he saw changed him. 200,000 people dead or displaced. The battlefield wasn't triumph, it was carnage, and it broke him. It broke him wide open. See, what emerged was not weakness, it was transformation. Ashoka embraced Dharma. It was a code of peace, compassion, and nonviolence. And from that internal shift came his greatest prosperity. He built hospitals, roads, schools, trade routes, tolerance, justice, and legacy. Not through force, but he did it through peace. And that highlights the internal battle within us. See, that's not just history. That's a mirror. Because every fund manager, every builder, every operator, sometimes it feels like you're at war. Deals, deadlines, capital, chaos, and it can all feel daunting, even soul-crushing. Trust me, my friends, I have been there. But the most dangerous enemy, it's not the market, it's not the competition, it's the voice inside of your head and the ones around you. You know the ones. They're the ones that say, be comfortable, don't risk being judged, don't go all in. What if I fail? What if they make fun of me? What if I'm not smart enough to do this? Just wait, shrink, and play it safe. You know that voice. That voice isn't protecting you, it's sedating you. And it wants comfort at all costs, even if it destroys your life. And comfort, when worship, becomes a cage. So before we go deeper, I want to ask you a question, and please don't rush past this. Who were you before the world told you that you could not be that person? I want you to think about that for a minute. Before the shame, before the failure, and before the noise. That version of you still exists. And every time you choose discomfort on purpose, you move a little bit closer to him. That's the war you're really fighting. Not out there, it's in here. And that's why I have said for years that success is an inside job. And it all starts with finding your peace, so then you can then move into your power. So let's talk about the science behind this. In 2019, researchers at MIT, they ran a study on how internal expectations shape external perceptions. And what they discovered is that the brain isn't passive. It doesn't record reality. In fact, they found that it constructs it. Can you believe that? While the animals did the task, the scientists recorded from hundreds of neurons in their frontal cortex a brain region involved in timing and decision-making. See, what they found is that the neural activity patterns were warped towards the expected average duration for that context. In other words, prior expectations weren't just influencing behavior, they altered the brain's representation of time itself. See, as they trained animals to measure time intervals, their brain warped the perception of time to match internal expectations. Can you believe that? See, that's part of what's called the Bayesian brain hypothesis. It's the idea that your brain is a prediction machine, combining beliefs with data to form what you experience as reality. So if you believe discomfort equals danger, you literally perceive a challenge as a threat. Or if you believe discomfort is growth, you'll interpret that same challenge as expansion. So when I say peace is the strategy, I'm not trying to be poetic. I'm talking neuroscience. Belief rewires your perception. Peace changes how your brain reacts to pressure, and that is the key. And pressure is that cosmic forge where leaders are made. So let's talk about another person in history, Marcus Aurelius. Aurelius fought wars, but he also wrote meditations to stay anchored. He didn't just let external battles define his internal world. He trained in discipline, in virtue, and in clarity. He fought and succeeded in his conquests with peace in his heart. And if you read meditations that he wrote during a lot of his conquests, you're going to see that the internal world was much different than the external conquests. And that's what we're after. So if you're a fund manager or deal syndicator that has empire level ambition, how do you build peace that lets you expand into a healthy power like Marcus Aurelius or Ashoka the Great? Well, here's how. 1, every day choose one discomfort and lean in. Cold shower, hard convo, no phone, stillness, whatever makes you squirm, do that on purpose. 2, when resistance shows up, disguised discomfort, name it. Say, that's the enemy deceiving me to play small. Then move far away from it. And 3, write a journal nightly, even if it's only a couple sentences. Ask yourself, what did I do today that made me uncomfortable? And how did it stretch me and expand me? I do this every night. Hey, if you're finding value out of this discussion, could you do me a huge favor? Could you just take a second and hit that like or subscribe button? It costs you nothing, but it tells the algorithm that this is valuable information and it helps us to get it to more people. Thank you. You're incredible. Now let's get back to the show. See, discomfort isn't the enemy. It's the invitation. And let me break this down for a second, because this one shift changed everything for me. Persistency allows you to get it, but it's consistency that allows you to keep it. So you can grind through a win, you can raise a fund, and you can land a big check. But without consistency, without rhythm, ritual, and peace at the core, it's likely going to fall apart. See, persistency gets you the door, consistency keeps it open. And this is where I like to introduce what I created a long time ago called the UVE Framework. So let me teach you this framework that's become my filter for everything I build. UVE stands for Umpires, Vampires, and Empires. And it all comes down to managing your energy so you can manage your peace. See, I have come to know this. Everything can be managed and boiled down to energy. Your job is to build it, protect it, and sustain it. That's true for all forms, be it physical, emotional, mental, and even spiritual. And if you have ambitions for making billions, you're going to need every ounce of energy and peace that you can summon if you even have a chance of making it to the elite levels of the top 0.01% of fund managers. Pull it off and you will no longer be a fund tourist. You are now becoming a fund titan, and that's a huge difference. So let me explain. Your umpires, these are your mentors, your standards, the people who call the balls and strikes. They don't care how talented you are. They care if you're aligned. Everyone needs someone to call the zone and hold you accountable if you step outside of it. So getting those people and those habits and those belief systems that keep you in check are critical, and those all fall under umpire categories. The next category is vampires. These are the people and patterns that suck the life out of your vision. They drain your clarity, your time, and your focus. Cut them out and be ruthless, or they will rot your foundation from the inside. And let's be honest, if you're like me, you will learn that most of the energy draining vampires in your life are self-inflicted. Bad people are easy to spot, but what about bad habits? A messy office, relentless complaining, or identifying as a victim more than a victor? These all drain your energy and they have to go. And the third one in the UVE framework is empires. These are your builders, your crew, your council, and the ones with blood on their knuckles, dirt on their boots, and peace in their hearts, just like Ashoka and Marcus Aurelius. They're fellow gladiators in this Colosseum of capital. Be with empire builders and watch your world change faster than you could have ever imagined. I remember renting a 100-foot yacht for some of my friends. You had to have at least 100 million under management to attend, and I was oversubscribed. I remember seeing 2 empire builders close a $300 million handshake deal while sipping mimosas on a yacht while we toured Miami Harbor. It is an entirely different world, and energy is its currency. And listen, this isn't just strategy. This is about your peace, your presence, and your prosperity. Because hanging out with the wrong people, repeating the wrong mental models, or just complaining constantly puts you in the category of one of the vampires. And it will destroy your peace, rob your power, and eradicate presence from anything worthwhile. But so will not spending time with the right ones, the umpires and the empire builders. See, if you don't have wise umpires calling you to a higher standard, if you don't have empire builders walking beside you as they help to illuminate your path, then you'll find that you will either drift or get drained. Neither is acceptable in our pursuit of making billions. So I want you to remember this. If you want to kill a big dream, just tell it to a small mind. It's true. Tell your vision to vampires around you who have never fought for anything and they'll laugh. Tell your goals to vampires who are afraid to grow and watch them minimize you to make themselves comfortable. That's why peace isn't just internal, it's also environmental. So you need to protect your energy by curating your habits, rituals, and ultimately your inner circle. And when you get it right, you won't compete with your empire builders because you will all rise together. And see, that's why I built the Fundraise Capital Community. Every week we meet, we talk deals, we dissect capital raises, we hold the frame, and we sharpen each other. Steel sharpens steel. It's not just a business group. It is a battle council and brotherhood of empire builders. So if you're done shrinking, if you're ready to stand with other fund managers who lead with peace and fight with purpose, come and join me. Go to go.fundraisecapital.co/apply. And if this hits you hard, you can check the link in the description and download the UVE Framework to crush your inner enemy and train for peace to anchor you in your power. Because you're not just managing a fund, you're building an empire. And it starts with full energy, peace, and perseverance. You do these things, and you too will be well on your way in your pursuit of making billions.